Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to yet another session. So we've talked about introduction to technology. We've talked about um, digital, building your digital presence, and a few other things over the week. So it won't be nice, or it will be complete if as well as there are good sides of things. We're talking about the good side of technology sense, how you can build stuff for yourself and for other people, and you can represent yourself online and make your business and your presence available 24 hours, 7 days, and build really amazing stuff with new technology and everything. But as there are good sides, or they say there are always two sides to a coin. There is also the other side of it. So much as we use technology for good, the people that still use it for whatever it is that they want to do, we use it for evil. Is to steal your information. They use it to steal your money. They use it to manipulate you, and yeah, they use it to spy on you and everything. So today we're going to talk about a very, very important aspect of using technology, and not just technology, using your devices. And these days, I don't think anybody here doesn't have a smartphone or a laptop at least. So we are all digital people, or we're in the digital age, and we use all these devices all the time. So, but most importantly, a lot of us are not aware that as you're using your devices, there are certain things you expose yourself to, or certain dangers you expose your data to, and the data of people connected to you. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about internet and digital security. So now we'll just go try to understand what internet security is and how to protect yourself while you're using the internet, and how do my possible best to let you guys know how to spot ingenuine websites that are not genuine, and maybe applications that you should not be using, or links that you should not click on, and everything out there, how to safely navigate the internet, and use your email applications, or the emails you're receiving and the messages you're receiving and all that. So at the end of the day, we are going to, all right, let's talk about, at the end of the day, we're going to learn how to, be safe using our mobile devices and, our browsers and everything. So now the internet is, very large. It's just a bunch of computers connected together, by the way. So that's what the internet is, connected with the network. When you hear of internet, or you hear of network, is computer one, computer two, connected together and sharing resources. So think of the internet, or think of the internet as maybe a class or a group of, or our church, Portals Outreach, right? We're a small group and we're all connected together, in one way or the other. That's what the internet is. So, and our ability to share resources between each other. So say you can pass information from one person to the other person. So that's what we do on the internet. You pass the information from one computer to another computer using messaging protocols. Just as you speak to somebody, you communicate with protocols and all that, communication protocols. So now we use the internet for so many things. Whether if you like it or not, even your mobile applications, there is nothing you use that maybe you don't deal with directly on your device. That doesn't use the internet. So your banking application still uses the internet behind the scenes. It makes API calls. I'll try my possible to explain how that works. So now a client here represents your mobile app, you yourself, and every device that you use, right? And there is something, if you look at the image, you'll see something in the middle called DNS resolver. It's called domain name server or service resolver, right? What it basically does is like connects whichever name or website you're trying to visit, or right, it connects you to that website basically. So when you say I want to go to www.google.com, google.com computer will not recognize google.com, but it recognizes the IP address of google.com. So if you look here, I gave an instance when you want to go to bonnie.net. Bonnie.net, the IP address is about 198.51.100.11. So what it does is it comes here and it says, okay, this is the .NET, and it comes here and it resolves the .NET for you and gives you the routes your request through the correct network or through the required network and gets your response and sends it back to you. So any request you make to bunny.net will always route to 198.51.100.99 or any other IP address that is associated with bunny.net. So this encompasses every request you make on your phone, on your laptop, every single request you ever make. This is exactly what happens. It goes to the DNS server, the DNS resolves it, gets the correct IP address, then sends that request you've sent. So if you're saying, I want to log in, you're sending your credentials with it. Hey, this is my username, this is my password, and I'm going to bunny.net to log in. The team will take it and send your username and your password to 198.51.100.11. Because the computers, they are all connected together through a protocol, and it knows it will eventually find wherever 1.98.51 is like an address, just like you have your street addresses and all that. So it's not really hard to find. So then moving on from that. Now, what is your digital footprint? I have explained this in our previous sessions. It's just basically everything you do online. That's what your digital footprint is. So every single thing you do online is your digital footprint. So the messages you send, the website you visit, the posts you like, every single thing you do that has to do with the internet is your digital footprint online. Everything you do on your phone, not just the internet, even on your phone, because the applications that read your behavior, the applications you use on your phone, it checks for the games you play, it tries to study your behavior and everything. So that's what your digital footprint is. Everything you do on a digital device is your digital footprint. So if you just read online, your digital footprint just, shows you reading and everything. If you watch a lot of videos, you use YouTube a lot, or you use social media a lot, then that's your digital footprint, It's kind of a representation of you online or your character online, just as you stand up every morning, you brush your teeth and you go to work, and maybe you play a lot, you understand? That's maybe your physical footprint, like the impression you leave on people. What type of person is this guy? So your digital footprint is the impression you leave of yourself online. So if you're someone that spends a lot of time on social media, then you will leave like a huge imprint, like, with the amount of time you spend there. So, and next, come on. So what is digital security? Now, digital security, obviously, you take the word there, security. We take the word security. I like breaking stuff down. Why do we need security in everything that we do? Everybody wants to be safe, definitely. If you are going to travel on the road, you want to make sure that the road you're traveling on is safe most times. Or if you want to do something, you want to make sure that you are safe doing it. You want to make sure you don't leave your house like late in the night. So as you take precautions in your everyday life, you should also take precautions when you're using digital devices. But most people do not take this into account. They just get their devices and they begin to use it anyhow because they don't understand or they don't know the dangers of it. So you don't install any app you see, you don't visit any websites that you see, right? Because some of these websites, they are not there for your own good. They're there to actually take your information. But most people are not aware of this. And that's exactly what we are going to visit today. So digital security is just the best practice or let's say the best behavior or the best way to treat every single thing you see on your device, every text you read, every email you receive, every message you receive, every website you visit and all that. Just, the best way to protocol to follow when you are dealing with, things like that. So that's why digital and internet security obviously is to protect your information. If you don't protect your information, someone else will use your information to do some other things. I know we've had stories of people taking loans with people's data just because they have just because someone has your BVN and maybe somehow has your access to your email, maybe in an old device that you are using and all that. They can be able to do and undo just because they have access to your information. So the reason we have to learn about digital internet security so that we guard our digital data or everything that concerns us in our device, everything that represents us in our device, that we guard it so hard. So if we do not guard it well, we'll fall victim to so many things. If you go to countries like the US, a lot of them face, I think, it's identity theft. Yeah. So that one is a bit difficult in Nigeria to steal someone's identity. Whereas you can do something with someone's identity, but you cannot, entirely steal someone's identity. But you can scam people like as you can scam people over there, you can scam people over here just because you have their information. I remember sometime last year, I think someone got hold of my mom's WhatsApp number and the person sent out messages to her contacts and everything, and the person was able to make away with about maybe 700 and something dollars or something like that. So it wasn't much, but people do this all the time as long as they have some kind of piece, or they have a piece of information that is supposed to be personal to you and supposed to be some kind of verification for your identity. So exactly why it matters. So you should value your digital assets as much as you value your physical ones. I don't think people submit physical information like that again these days. I think most of us have our CV in digital formats. We have our NIN, the picture of it. In fact, we don't even sign signatures again. We use pictures of our signatures and all that. Right? You fill forms. Everything we do is online. So that means for you to be able to do that online, even from the comfort of your mobile phone, means that you have this information available and stored on your devices. So if you have it available and stored on your devices, there is nothing that stops someone that has access to your device to do or carry out some actions, right, on your behalf, just because they have access to your information. So it is really important that we protect our digital identity. You lock up whatever you have that represents you personally. If it's your ID card, your NIN, if it's your BVN, you have a way of storing them on your devices, or maybe a password protected file or something like that, or password protected PDF and all that, so that people don't just have access to it. Because if people have access to it, eventually you meet someone that will probably abuse access to, information like that. So, and for instance, I know a lot of us get a lot of emails from, I would say, use Temu for instance. If you register there, you get emails, or maybe AliExpress back in the days, or product sales. You continue getting emails just because you signed up with your email and maybe they subscribed you to their newsletter. So every morning you wake up and there are emails, emails, emails. You don't want to be seeing these emails all the time just because you put your information there. So you continue receiving it. That's how it was. So if you put your phone number somewhere, you can start receiving spam messages and everything. So that's another reason why we need to be careful. We still have a long way to go. All right. Are you actively staying safe online? So this is a question that we should ask ourselves based on what I've said so far. How many of us think they are cautious enough, or they've been cautious enough about their activities online, about where they put their information online? And it's really easy these days. I think it's not in these days. People take people's information all the time, and it's the annoying one that is more annoying for me is people just add you to WhatsApp groups, although there are guards against that now and all that. So from what I've said so far, just take away, we'll not stop because we have a lot to cover. So I just want you to think about it and know if you've been actively staying safe online. So from here, I will, start seeing examples of, yeah, so this. All right. Okay, cool. So now let's run into small data. Even though you cannot verify my data, I should have put where I got my source from, but it's okay. So now um social media logins and stealing your social media accounts. I know we've come across so many people say, they hacked my accounts, they did this, they did that. Right? Anybody that has fallen victim to that, or that has said they've fallen victim to something like that, they are always guilty of being careless with their information. Someone cannot get hold of your information unless you're careless with it. If you don't take your certificate to leave your house and misplace it on the bus, you will never lose your certificate, or always be at home unless something happens to it at home there. Same thing happens on the internet, same thing happens on your devices. If you protect your information closely, nothing will happen to your information. So if you are not used to just logging your information, if you're used to being observant online, a lot of people are not observant online. If I lead you down, but we would have done a practical self. and maybe I've just used it for an instance, but there won't be time for that and everything. But basically, every online scam you see, or everybody they've stolen their accounts or they've stolen their login information, they gave it away one way or the other. And I will explain, as we are going. So I will explain this. We're not talking about cyber security. It's digital security. Digital security, is personal. If you do reach a devil, I say this for consumers being you yourself and how you use the devices. So for cyber security is actually kind of is a profession. They have people that are professionals that do that are cyber security specialists and all that. So for digital security, it's personal, and it affects how you protect your information and how you use your information. It concerns your personal data, your contact information, and the information of people close to you. Right? So it's not just about your information, because when we get to social engineering, like people use different ways to extract information concerning people that are directly related to you or indirectly related to you. They can perform social engineering for you, but the target for the attack is actually maybe your boss in the office and all that. So we'll move on. And we have, there's something called personal identifiable information. So personal identifiable information that contains some kind of unique data about you. So something nobody else it doesn't match, or it's not mapped to any other person. Like your medical records is specific to you, your criminal history is specific to you, your passport is specific to you, your immigration status, your mother's maiden name, different things, your NIN, driver's license, so many things, your visa, they are all specific to you. So all these personal identifiable information should be protected. So just like you put them in your file at home and you bundle them in your devices, they shouldn't be scattered anywhere, right? And you shouldn't impute them anywhere. You should have them organized and maybe password protect them if possible and all that. You shouldn't just take them, drag it and dump here. You can mistakenly, in fact, I know some of us store our information on our Google Drive and everything. And Google Drive has this funny thing: when you want to share something with somebody, give the person access to that drive, to that particular folder, and you can mistakenly do that for a bunch of people, and they have access to your personal information already. So now, how is your information stolen? There is social engineering. All of them are kind of interconnected because they work hand in hand. There is no one that's that can confidently stand on its own. Aside from maybe hacking, I don't know really, but all of them are interconnected. So don't think they're all different though, but they all work together. Someone can, use a combination of all of them, one of them, two of them, and all that. So there is social engineering, there is phishing, there is farming, there is hacking. There are still others, under them, but I would do my best to explain each and every one of them. So social engineering. So social engineering is basically, I would say, investigate. The people that are called detectives. When people commit a crime, there are people that you call there are people that are investigators, right? Or detectives or investigators that they go, to ask questions, do interviews, try to get information concerning the crime that was committed and everything. Same thing happens with social engineering. Social engineering is about getting information about somebody or whoever your target is, whoever they are targets, and they get information about the person and use that information so well. I'm not talking like, they can befriend you, right? They can befriend someone close to you. That's how it works. They can come to work for you. They can collaborate with you. Social engineering can even take time. It's social, it doesn't name social engineering. It can happen in mass. It can happen for just one person. So it's conditioning for trust, or conditioning to look for a loophole or look for a space to enter from. So think of it as something or someone that is waiting for you to give them a chance or give space or trust them with maybe certain information about you, or someone is coming to learn your routine, or trying to understand your network or your network of people or your computer networks. But it has to do with getting close to your target. So you have to study your target. You have to study your target's behavior. So you have to study everything concerning your target and people and things related to your target. So from what you learn from your target, you use it to either manipulate your target to give you information, or use what you know about your target to brute force and collect information concerning your target, or get whatever it is that you want. I'll explain further. So this is how it works, right? You prepare grounds for your attack. You know the person you're trying to attack. You get the information. You select the type of attack you want. Then you now start deceiving your target. You get close. The person can employ you. You can get to work for the person. The person could even be working for you. There are different ways to hook somebody up. Like, it's psychological. Basically, psychological is behavioral. Basically, you get the person to trust you, or you get the system, or get the people, or get the organization to trust you. So that's what social engineering is all about. Then you, over a period of time, so it could be short, it could be long, it could take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, depending on the width of what you're trying to achieve. For instance, I think the largest Linus hack would have happened sometime last year. And that was very super social engineering, because the people that we are going to eventually carry out this hack had been contributing to the project, and gain the trust of the person that was maintaining the project. And it would have been a full-on crazy attack, and maybe a lot of Linux systems around the world. That means the whole internet would have probably crashed sometime last year if somebody did not discover, that what, this package is sending internet requests and it's taking so much time. This is not what it's supposed to do, and all that. So it takes time. So social engineering takes time. Maybe some are faster, depending on how smart your target is or how dumb your target is. But social engineering is all about gaining trust. Getting close to your target, and getting information about your target that in turn you can use to attack your target. And when you're done, you can disappear. Your target will know, or you can still be in the system. Your target will never know. So there are various ways and smart ways. We've seen movies about this all the time. I don't know if I can remember anyone. Now, how can you defend your data? Let's just jump a bit and talk about how we can defend our data. And first of all, you have to keep all your software. If you're using a system, your mobile phones and all that, you should always try to keep them updated. Because most of these updates, if you look at your update information, you will mostly see security patches, security patches, security patches. Now, security patches is because people are always finding new way to mess with your devices, or mess with information, or hack your mobile phones and everything, or maybe phish or extract information from you. So those security patches are definitely what the organization or the company or whoever owns the software is in charge of administering the software that you're using have discovered, or has come to their attention, and they've created an update to fix that for you. So always we should keep our software up to date every time. So you could use antivirus if you want on your system. And there are firewalls. There are things called firewalls. Firewalls basically means it's like a block. Let's take it from the name. It's like a wall that has access to your network. So it should allow requests from your firewall. Kind of creates how do I explain this? Okay, think of it as a filter, right? It filters out addresses, it filters out requests, right? Who can send a request to your computer, or where your computer can send requests to. So if you have a system and you set up a network firewall, not every network can have access, or not every address can have access to your system, because it can't get past the firewall. It's not allowed. So when you come there, think of it as a gate. That's a better description. Think of your firewall as a gate for all your requests. So when it comes, it checks, hi, is this person allowed to enter? Let's say we are only allowing Range Rovers inside our church premises on Saturday. So if it's not a Range Rover and it's not black, in fact, if the Range Rover doesn't have a plate number that started with P for Potters, P123, don't let it in. So every other car that comes, even if let's say black Range Rover, even if it's a white Range Rover that's there with P123, it won't let it in. That's basically what a firewall is. Then you have VPNs, virtual private networks, are just some kind of way to create it. And it's kind of routes your request to different servers. I can't totally explain the way you understand, but yeah, kind of creates a network for you for your request and all that. Then password manager, I don't know how recommended this is, but you should, if you have a good password manager that you use already, yeah, you should continue using it. And that way you have the reason for a password manager is there are two sides to the coin of using a password manager, right? All your information could be there. And if you have problem with it, everybody have access to your passwords and all that. But in another way, it's also an easier way for you to manage, your passwords. And if you are not interested, or which you should not do, by the way, you're using your passwords in different websites and everything, a password manager will be good. So you remember the password for each individual and unique website, that you're visiting, or application that you're using, not necessarily websites, not necessarily applications too. It could be log into your computer or to your system, or if your system at work and everything. So two-factor authentication is, always setting up two-factor authentication is good, because it kind of creates a unique identity and verification. So most times, so if you want 2FA to be an email that you receive, that's okay. But if someone has access to your email, they have access to it. So it simply means, if you know my password, do you have access to my email? Right? Let's say you don't use your email as your 2FA. Let's say you use facial recognition, which is also cool. So even if someone has your password, they don't have access to your face, so they cannot access your data. So phishing protection, we'll talk about this, going down. You can get security extensions for your browser. We'll talk about this going down. Wi-Fi and router security. This is for companies or people that use Wi-Fi and all that. If you have some kind of administrator. Identity monitoring, spam test. Don't worry. Let's just go on. And phishing. Now, if you say I told you all of them are connected, it's still some kind of social engineering, right? In a way, because phishing is it's deceiving people, basically. So you look at the image I use, you try to deceive somebody into thinking something else, or into thinking something is legitimate when it's not legitimate. That's what it is. That's what phishing is. Phishing is like pretending or masking, like the real thing when you're not the real thing, so you take the information. For instance, if I was going to conduct a phishing exercise in this class, what I would have done was very simple. I would have created a website that looks exactly like maybe Facebook or Twitter or any of them, and I would choose a domain that is very close to it. But we'll talk about that, when I explain phishing finish. So now, the phishing has become better. Before, phishing would have been people sending you links, maybe via WhatsApp and everything. But now it's more professional. Like, they can even they will correspond with you, right? It will even be legitimate and everything. Like I will explain in maybe the smallest side, I'll just explain. So they can even correspond with you. Like, it's still some sort of social engineering. The users want to gain your, or the phishers or hackers or whoever it is that wants your information, they want to gain your trust. So if they gain your trust, you just follow their lead. And I'll give you an instance. When you go to the bank and they give you a form to fill, you use your money that is in the bank, by the way. You have every right to your money in the bank. You can do anything you want with it. When you go to the bank and they give you a form to fill and they just say it's for this, it's for this, you won't ask so many questions. Most of us don't ask so many questions. And asking questions is actually a very important aspect of life. Whenever you meet anything or you see anything, you need to ask a lot of questions so that you fully understand. Because if you don't ask questions, you will never understand. And even people have saying, they said, it means that anyone that asks questions will not get missing or get lost on the way. So you should always ask questions. And as you're asking questions physically, you should also ask questions digitally, all right? Be curious. Like, for instance, when you see something that is different, like your manager's name is different, and the person signing it, his name is different, and the person is signing on behalf of your manager, and maybe it's not related to your manager in any way. You ask, why are you doing this? What authority? Who give you authority to do this and all that? And why are you making me fill this form? The same thing, you should also do it online. Whenever you see something that you're supposed to click on, or you see something that you're supposed to follow, or someone has gotten your trust and you believe their story, or something is happening to your account or something like that. I don't know. But basically, let's let's see how you identify phishing attacks so you guys can tell, I'm being phished and all that. So first of all, if you receive a phishing message or phishing link, it usually comes with high urgency. High urgency means they kind of tell you that something concerning you has been compromised. Either your email has been compromised or they are going to close your accounts, all this information that needs urgency. If you don't do this, you will lose your status, your accounts will be closed, your NIN will be invalid, blah, 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 blah. So they'll tell you stuff that will spook you. And, they usually do this based on your demographic. So if you're in the United States of America, they have what to tell you over there that will make it based on the ecosystem. I know over here, and based on our own ecosystem, if they tell you something concerning your BVN, you know that is really important, because if they block your BVN or if anything's wrong with your BVN, it will be really difficult for you to transact. For instance, over the past is 1 month now, I've not been able to use one of my accounts because I was I was lazy to let my mode of identification expire, and now I need my virtual, I think VNIN or something like that, and NIMC, and they're not even available yet. So their account is just there. Everything is just there. I can't do anything about it. So pertaining to me, if someone had information about me and this issue, and the person sends me an email and be like, okay, you know what? This for NIN to free your accounts up and all that. Visit so and so this. In fact, the bank gave me a code to die. I did not ask question just to get my VNIN. I died the code, which is very bad, by the way, because it was from the bank. So I trusted them enough to do that. But what if it was not from the bank? What if it was, a phishing code? I would have died that code, and the code contained my BVN and my N. I think it contained my NIN or something like that. I don't know, can't remember, but yeah. So what if I did that? I would have just sent my information like that to whichever endpoint is going to get. I might remember I told you guys that every code you die, everything you do, as long as it doesn't end up on your phone, it goes on the internet. Even your USSD code, like everything goes through the network. So once you dial a code, even your bank short code, you think it's not going on the internet. I can assure you it's going on the internet, because that's how stuff gets done. That's how computers and networks connect. They have to connect through a protocol, and it's the internet protocol. That's why you hear of IP address, is your internet protocol address, which is unique. Every device have their own unique internet protocol address. So internet protocol address, like I mentioned earlier, is like your address, where you live, just like where you live. It's unique. If you're living at number 2 Ajifoluke, you're at number 2 Ajifoluke. If you're living at 2A Ajifoluke, you're living at 2A Ajifoluke, which is probably other opposite 2B Ajifoluke or something like that. So at the end of the day, whatever request you make has to go somewhere. It has to go to one computer or the other. So if I had sent my BVN or my NIN or anything I added in that code to that endpoint or the other USSD code, so I've ended up, over there, because they don't have that information, but I have it. So unrecognized sender. If you're not familiar with the sender of any email you receive, that's another way to identify phishing attacks. When you cannot tell, this was, I will show you an example. So, by the way, it's in the bad grammar. Yeah, a lot of phishing mails. Some of them are specific to you. Some of them are not specific. They just, they bomb them to so many emails. Call it bombing, a bit. Yeah, they just push them and pump them to so many emails, to so many email accounts. Where do they get these email accounts? It could be from websites you registered on previously. There are a lot of data leaks all the time, so they can just pack your emails. I've been at home, and people have tried to log into my Gmail account. Someone tried sometime last year to, I think they got access to my Apple account. I had to go online, and reset it like real quick. And the same thing happened to my brother. And I think that someone maybe had access to our old device or something like that. But you usually see poorly written grammar in someone, because probably most of them maybe Indians. They could be from any part of the world, so the English doesn't really matter to them. So then unusual salutations, like they know you, like they're this, they're that, they don't know you, basically. So if it's people that know you personally, they usually try to use your name. If your bank is talking to you, they try to use it, or they have a valid customer, or they call your name and be like this. But they have some kind of information that they can use to identify you, that you will know that this is legit. We'll look at an example. Then you will now see links again. you'll see links that that is directing you to somewhere to go and do so and so thing, which I'll use in our makeshift. We'll talk about it in our small scenario that we're going to make up here. So then you'll see misspelled domains. So the domains that will probably show you for instance of misspelled domains or domains that are similar that they use to deceive people all the time. That's why you should try as much as possible to be observant. So now this is example of a phishing email. So you will see critical systems maintenance team, and you see no reply at CSMT, right? You've probably not received that from CSMT. But now, what you should compare the CSMT to is the link. If you look at the link below, like just before yours in service, you will see reviewuserinterface.com/verify. It has nothing to do with csmt.com in any way. So most times, any place or any domain you're receiving your email from, if there is a backlink, it usually should contain that domain in one way or the other, and all that. So an urgency, you see, they put this one is actually very literal. So they put urgent there, critical system maintenance. So the message itself doesn't even make sense to me, by the way. But what you should take from there is, if it contains a threat, it says here, it says what? If you don't act, failure to validate account functions within this time duration will inactive all user accounts. Very bad English, by the way, but it simply means deactivate your account. And that should really prompt you to vet the message that you're looking at, so that you really understand, is this for me? Is this not for me? I've received a lot of emails like this. A lot of people would have received. If you do a lot of things online, if you visit crypto websites, if you visited a lot of, basically, not if you just visit websites and subscribe to things sometimes, you will definitely receive, even if you register in normal websites, those websites are prone to attacks. If you register on a platform, if they attack that platform and they get their data, your data is among the data in the data breach. So they have access to your email already. And if somehow that same site or that platform you're using does not encrypt your password in any way, then they have access to some kind of, your password or the hash of your password. So if your password, if you use the same password every other place, then it might be a problem and all that. But, moving on. So this is another example of a phishing website. They will just tell you, hey, yeah, you want this, but you click here. So you need to be careful when you're clicking stuff, by the way. Because not only the phishers use this, hackers still do this. So when you click on the link, you kind of store something on your phone. Very funny. Like, maybe you open a PDF and all that. It's very strange, but I will not go very deep into that. Let's just try to be careful and all that. So I've given, about 3 examples here, what they look like. And you say, if this one is right for instance, I'm a staff in college, a professor of medicine shared me a link for students who might be interested. So there is barely any information here that should concern you in the first place. And somehow, the email is at outlook.com. If it's a school professor or a staff in college, they usually have a staff email, right? So you most likely should be getting an email from them, with their school email, or yes, with the institution email that they have and all that. So not this. So you should always look for disparities or where information doesn't match. Treat every email you receive like that. If you've not been doing it before, start doing it now. Then, for instance, let's talk about the misspelled domains and all that. See, if you look at this, especially a lot of us don't look at our we don't look on our inputs, our URL inputs bar, when we are browsing and all that, or when we've clicked on a link and it takes us to our website, right? If I create something that looks like Facebook or X right now, you can't tell the difference because I will generate a website that looks exactly like that. And I would use a domain. If I can get any of these domain names, it looks at let's take the last one, for instance, says iTunes.com. Say I created iTunes website. I know you can add your card, I think, on iTunes or something like that. Yeah. I can't remember, just using this for instance. But let's say I could do something like that, and I take the first one or the second one. The second one will say ITIUNES. So no one would really know the difference because they won't even investigate. They'll just go there, maybe put their card details and everything. Let's create a case scenario, right? The case scenario will be simple like this. If I create something like this, I create a website and I say, okay, and I email you the link to my website, and you click on it. And when you click on it, I will tell you to log in. So definitely, if you don't look, you'll try to log in. But when you log in, what you don't know is there are one of two things that are happening. Number one, it's either I'm logging the information. Two, I'm trying that information. So if I'm trying your information when you try to log in to your items, I would actually send a payload to the actual website with the information that you just sent, or with invalid information. So when I send it with invalid information, all right, it will trigger them to maybe send you an email or something, or I go to the actual website and trigger a reset password behind the scenes. That's when I'm doing this. So when I do this behind the scenes in my own website where you are, and you put in your real password, I will tell you the real password you put in is not safe. This is me now playing smart. I'm making this up on the go. I will tell you, you know what, this real password you put is not safe. Let's create, a safer password for you. But on the real website, I have triggered a reset password. So you will now get an email, maybe with a verification code or a password reset link. You go there, you click the password reset, and you reset, and you reset it. After resetting it, I would have given you instruction. Okay, after resetting your password, right? I will send you maybe another mail. Tell you to wait 10 minutes for a mail. I'll send you another mail in 10 minutes, and you go there and you put the new password that you did, or something like that. Or I will choose the password I want for you. They give you the code to verify your password request, whatever. You give me the code, or you come and paste the code in my website. I use it, I take your account, and I'm gone. And that's it. I have the person's account. Very simple. It actually happens in a twinkle of an eye. It happens to people a lot. So people say, I just lost my my Instagram account. I just lost my Facebook account. This one. That's exactly what happens, because I can come as a consigned Facebook associate or security associate or whatever, But the basic point there is get the trust of whoever it is that you're dealing with, and you're good to go. So how to spot phishing websites? No, the first one, missing SSL. I don't know if that's really valid now, but SSL is it's just kind of an encryption certificate to encrypt data that is passing between the website. So that text doesn't pass through your website, that people can read. It will be encrypted and decrypted, from request to response and all that. But you should also look at the URL. If you look closely at the second URL, it says facebook.com, but that's even the second O is actually a 0 and all that. But if you see something like that, you might not really, really, really notice the difference. So some of these sites, a lot of them, not some of the sites, they are phishing sites. So now, you might get pop-ups that will just tell you, put your email, this to win this, or put your phone number, blah, 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 to win this, right? Just unexpected pop-ups. You can just be scrolling and boom, it tells you this. You input your information. Voila, you have given them your email, first of all, to spam you with whatever information they want to spam you with. Then a lot of times, or back in the days, now people are really good at designing websites. The websites they design were terrible. The phishing websites were terrible. They would try as much as possible to look like the real thing, but it's never look like the real thing if you are observant enough. Then blocked navigation, you cannot go back. Like if you go back, there is a script keeping you on the website and all that. Then performance issues, the website usually one kind. But now, not now again though. So you can visit a phishing website, you would not even know and all that. Now, farming brings us to farming. This one is a bit, maybe you shouldn't worry. This one you should mostly be conscious or cautious of this one. I don't think you can really prevent this one, because this one happens on your DNS servers. So what happens in farming is, remember I mentioned DNS that resolves your domain names to the IP addresses and all that, right? To the IP addresses and all that. So now, what happens in farming is somebody maybe someone has access to your to the DNS server. If someone has access to your DNS server anywhere, that is controlling your domain name service, that is routing this request to the accurate domain, and someone corrupts it, it can reroute that. Let's say you're going to facebook.com or youtube.com, it will reroute it to ebuka.com, right? Or stanley.com. So that way, every request you make goes to Stanley.com. And those requests, and this is the danger, this is the bad thing about farming is this. If farming was if they found endpoints, if they found DNS, basically, it's just serving physical endpoints that have visual data, like data that you can see. Let's say not API and payloads, right? You don't really have a problem. It would be really easy to notice. You understand? But if it is serving just API payloads, just textual or encrypted response, request and response data, it will be really hard to notice because if it can maybe replicate the exact response that is expected, right? Even these days, there are now ways to check, if you're getting the required response you're supposed to get from every request that you make and all that. But basically, there are ways that you can check if your website or where you're visiting or what you're using is, being farmed, even though you can't prevent it. This one should be on the level of, the engineers that, control the systems and all that. Now, look at what it says. It says diverse users from legitimate websites to fraudulent ones without their knowledge, often by manipulating critical internet infrastructure. So I will use an image to, describe it after this. But basically, it redirects you. That's when it redirects you to whichever place it wants to redirect you, it starts extracting information. Maybe it has a copy of that website in some way to, take information from you. This is basically what happens during farming. So when you send a request, you understand? In the middle there, where there is DNS that's supposed to route to your real website. The attacker has, he has poisoned it or he has, messed it up, and it takes you to a fake website that probably looks like the real website. So you go there and probably do the same thing that you do. So say when you say they hijacked my website, they did not really hijack their website most times because if you want to hijack the website, then they have to come to this side where the real website is. There's probably a server there. That's where the hijacking will happen. So, but for this one, they hijacked the domain name server or service. That's basically what this one. That's what farming is. So farming can happen. You will not know that is happening because when you click google.com, you're expecting to land google.com. You've checked the link and everything. This is why you need to be observant because I've told you, okay, be cautious, look at the links you click on. So now you're cautious, you're looking at the links you're clicking on. You're clicking on the correct link. In fact, you know this link with all your mind, with all your heart, you know this is the right link. But when you click on it, it will take you to the website, something that looks like the website you're expecting. It looks exactly like it, but you will never know. That's the problem. Because if you now look at the link and you say, this is supposed to be google.com, but I'm saying Google or google5.com and all that, what is happening here? Then you're probably being farmed. That. So moving on to how to identify farming attacks. Okay, unusual website behavior. So why as people try to replicate websites, you cannot accurately replicate everything. Like if you observe enough, you will know or you will feel, you understand. Then you start receiving messages or emails. Some might need, like more information about you or stuff because at the end of the day, they redirected you to their own system. So to their own application and to their own website. So they might not exactly have the infrastructure or the software to serve you or serve what you need. I'll give you an instance. If someone hijacks Zenith Bank's website, for instance, let's say you do internet banking with Zenith Bank or whichever Nigerian bank you do banking with, let's say OPay, for instance, and when you hijack it takes you to ZeroPay, not OPay. When it takes you to ZeroPay, and you try to carry out a transaction, you cannot because there is no core banking. Core banking is the software behind all the banks, all the bank software. There is no core banking, or there is no there is no verified API calls, maybe to other services that will verify the customer's identity, or maybe if there is a CBN service that they use and all that, or identity service that they use from NIMC and all that. So there is nothing. So they pop up with just maybe tell you, there is an issue, right? It can tell you, okay, there is a problem now. Send your request and how much you want to send. They are usually very caring. So you get customer request at zeropay.com or customer care at zeropay.com, or what do you call it, payments problems or payments, you can get a very legit email and to tell you, okay, we noticed that you're trying to send transactions, something is wrong with our systems now. You understand? But if you want to initiate this transaction, send this, send this, send that. You will now send the information. And when you send the information, they have it. You can tell you send your BVN, send your password, or they can make you send it step by step. So if they make you send it step by step, it's so that you trust them. This is how it works. Send the account number you want to send to, send your account number, what is your transaction password, what is your BVN, all those step by step. And as you're interacting with them, you think you're doing with good people, but it's like, But anyways, then you will be seeing pop-ups. So definitely if something is not working, they need to engage you, one way or the other. So maybe if out of 100 people, at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 will fall for it. So even if they are doing it, they're not expecting to get everybody. Some people will be wise and all that, but there are people that will fall victim to it. So that's it. And people that falls victim to this are people that don't really observe, what is going on. You have to be really careful when you're using digital devices. Before, maybe it was kind of safe, but now, as you're using it, please be watching. Then unexpected redirection. So they can redirect you from there to another place where you fill a form. There are different things they can do to, they can make you download an app self at the end of the day. Then you incorrect URLs. I think I've spoken about this. So always look at your URL. If it's something somewhere you visit all the time, each time you open that website, look at the URL and be like, yeah, and confirm it. So how to prevent spamming? You cannot really prevent spamming. Not really. It's not on your own end as a user or as a client to prevent spamming. There's nothing really you can do about it. You can only not allow them farm your information. That's just the thing you can do. So it's a use security is always on. It should be on the administrator's end, not even on your own end. But if you're an administrator here, right, you understand. But then for the user and the clients, just verify your website URLs. Right, for administrators, obviously they have their own networks and all that. I just put it here, so let's have a complete slide on farming. Then awareness, which is what I put here. That is the very best defense against farming, against fishing, is knowledge. Right, you must know what these things are in order to prevent them. If you don't know what they are, you can't prevent them, and you fall victim to them. That's how it works. So if you don't know knowledge of something, knowledge is power, understand? So if you know about them, then you are open to discern them and understand them and know what is going on here. So if you visit a website and it takes you to another website, you cannot ignorantly ask somebody or tell somebody this thing is taking me to this other website. But you understand that this is dangerous, that this thing is taking me from the site that I'm visiting to another website. So they probably want something from me, which I'm not willing to give to them. So look at pop-ups that, things that show up when you're browsing. I know we've seen pop-ups all the time. Pop-ups come in form of advertisements, different things. Also to just pop up, it just show you stuff. Hey, so and so thing. I believe 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years, 6, 7 years ago, it was always win iPhone or 20,000 recharge card. And Nigerian government is giving this, you'll be seeing all those things. I will just be watching people say share to 20 people on WhatsApp, share to 50 people on WhatsApp. So when the team will be counting your sharing and all that, it's just be adding links, this thing, identifications, behind your distance. So it will be counting how many you've done. But what you're doing is counting phishing links at the end of the day, because everybody that goes there will add their phone number. So you're giving them access to a lot of people's phone numbers. Just like that. So anybody that clicks on it, you put your phone number, you do this, you go here, you share. That's like legit phishing and happy phishing. In fact, they've given you motive because you want a recharge card. Oh God. Anyways, so because we know these things now, so next time you see all those links, you need to be careful, when sharing them. Even I will even shock you, but not to make you scared. Even videos that you share would, contain malware, but that's topic for another day. We'll talk about maybe masking malware, like leave this thing, like how people can mask computer viruses and malwares in applications, in pictures, in videos, and all that. It's really, 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 really interesting. It's kind of technical, but I'll try my best, whenever I'm going to give that lecture to explain how those things work behind the scenes. So then hacking, finally. Hacking. This is the one that what people use a lot. They say hacking, they've hacked me and all that. So even when they phish you, they've hacked you and all that. Even if you are responsible for them phishing you, you say they've hacked me. So hacking is basically identifying and exploiting weaknesses. The weakness could be personal weakness, organizational weakness, it could be digital weakness, it could be physical weakness. Hacking is hacking. Hacking can be emotional, hacking can be psychological, right? It's a whole process. But basically, the main term for hacking, is usually if you hack into someone's system, basically it's digital or electronic. You're hacking into systems. So it's not hacking into a person basically, or trying to understand somebody. So, but first, for you to hack, all right, it usually can hack through it's obviously unauthorized. You don't have access to it, but you're trying to get access to something. That's what hacking is: forcefully getting access to something that you don't have access to. So there are different ways you can hack. You can hack through social engineering too. Get some kind of piece of information, then you get into a side of the system that you can now use because you have some kind of sub authority, and maybe give yourself the authentication, right, or authorization you need to deal with the system as you want to deal with it. But basically, hacking just simply means gaining unauthorized access. So where you are not supposed to be, the space or the internet space you're not supposed to enter, or the part of the system you're not authorized to visit and all that, or you're not even in the system and you are getting into the system via the network and all that, is called hacking. But there are criteria for hacking to occur. Now, for someone to hack you, they must have access. Someone cannot hack you without access. The access could be to your network. So for someone to even hack your computer, the person has to be in the same network. Or that's when I say network, I mean like Wi-Fi network, your local area network, your LAN and all that, your cables, and the person has to be connected to the same network. If the computer is not on the same network, it cannot hack you because there is no connection, right? They said, that's what they say in Igbo language. It's say over familiarity breeds losses. There's somebody say it in Igbo that it means like the person has to be somehow close to you. Not the person. I'm just saying the system needs to have proximity. The proximity now can be via your Wi-Fi network proximity. Proximity because computers, once there is network connecting them together, they are close. It doesn't matter if one is in Jericho and one is in Aba, right? Immediately they are connected to the same network. It's literally as if maybe just for latency sake, maybe a small delay, but it's as if they are close to each other. So once the person, whoever wants to hack you or hack your system needs access to the same network that your system is on. So the person must be connected to your system, either physically connected to your system, the system must be connected to your system, or wirelessly connected to your system. That is the number one and only criteria for hacking. If it is not connected, the person cannot hack you. But then again, you can hack yourself, if you install, software and all that. But that's still, they phish you to download those software, and they give you social engineering. I can provide service. I can do serious social engineering, right? As a software engineer, I can pose as a legitimate, create a company, pose as a legitimate, understand, software provider, right? Create serious malware and put them in plenty of organizations, right? As a service provider to them. And if I do that, I can at one point trigger some kind of what do they call it again? Data theft, right? Or yeah, I can steal their data, or I can ransom their data. So it could be a super ransomware. Ransomware is basically software that takes people's data, right? Locks them off from it or deletes it from their system, copies it to somewhere else. It's just like kidnapping, kidnaps people's data. I think that's the best way. So I can create a ransomware. So think of ransomware as software that kidnaps. So it will kidnap your personal data and all that. That's what ransomware basically does. It's sometimes the last 2 years, I just created. I bought a server. I bought a VPS server. I was installing MongoDB, on it. So because I couldn't get my IP to, because I needed to set up a firewall for, so that just my IP address would connect to my database, to my database server. I couldn't set it up because I was trying to figure out which IP I should allow, blah, blah. I just left it open. And after I slept and I woke up, and in the morning I got a message right there, like on my VPS server, like as a text file. It told me that it has taken everything in my database. The person deleted everything and said I should send so and so amount of Bitcoin to this address. I laughed. Need to have backup for my data. I did the same thing. I slept again. So there are people constantly scanning the internet, like open protocols or anything that is open, they want to collect. It happened to me again. So I was forced to make sure I just strictly set up my firewall to allow just my IP address connect to my database server and all that. So there are types of hackers, by the way. So there are black hats, gray hats. We just categorize them, and white hat hackers. Black hats are, the bad guys, the men. So the ones you can hire to do dirty jobs for you and everything, hey, yeah, I want to do this. So hackers are usually very smart people. So there are still, people like just above hackers. We'll talk about them some other time. But basically, hackers use tools made by these people, by the way, so carry out. There are people that are the main guys. But let's just stop. Those ones they just make tools. They make software basically to do different things. So hackers are the ones that utilize the software, the intelligence, the patterns, system design. They are really smart. So they can tell just from the way your code is structured or the way your network is structured, they can tell, okay, because of this latency, for instance, the people that we are forward trading, I don't know if anybody here understands trading, but there are people that we are forward trading based on people's requests because the network was slow. So when you place your trade request before it gets to where it will execute the request, because their network is faster or their network sits closer to the building, so they can see those requests and place the trades, right, to match your own trade, beforehand. Therefore, making money, and selling to you, at a higher markup. So they'll buy and sell to you. So this is how it works. Let me explain it in layman's terms. It means because trading is funny. If I want to buy a new car, right, and I'm sending a request to get a new car for all the way to Ikeja, right? Someone that is staying at, let's say, I've budgeted 1 million to 3 million for that car, and I've sent what they say, if it's 1 million bytes, if it's 3 million bytes, when before the request gets to Ikeja, someone else that is living close to Ikeja will see the request. There is only one car left in Ikeja, and maybe there's that car I want to buy, so I'm sending the request to buy from VI here. So the person goes ahead and buys the car, right, at 1 million, that's same price I want, and sells it to me because he's now the person that has to sell it because he's the owner of the car now. So he sells it to me at 1.5 or 2 million. So that's how forward trading works. So this is what or how hackers because can take advantage of systems because they know one thing about the system or they have information about the system. So they usually do that. So because I have information or I understand system design so well, I understand computers so well, I can manipulate it to my will. So hackers are not dumb. They are usually the very smartest of programmers. Seriously. So that's why they can take advantage of your system, of your program, of your system design, of even the workings of your operating system, of loopholes in your very operating system. Let's say your software that you're using doesn't even have an issue, right? But because your operating system has an issue already, they can take advantage of it to, mess with your software and all that. So then there are gray hat hackers. Those ones are hackers for hire. Right, so you want to do something, whether it's on the good side or the bad side, it doesn't matter. They're just skilled people. They are for hire. You need my services, call me, I will do what you want for you for the right price. Then white hat are the good guys, let's test systems and create let's create policies so people stay safe, let's help people, let's create patterns and design patterns that will help people stay safe online and all that. Then moving on, so hacking flow, reconnaissance, scanning, getting access, maintaining access, and I will just say reconnaissance is planning, right? How are we going to do this? How are we going to get access to the network? What do we need to spoof the network? What do we need to get in? That's what reconnaissance is. You scan, you gain access, you do what you want to do, you cover your tracks or you leave it open, whichever one you want to do, that's basically it. So there are other contexts, there is pretexting. All of them are connected. Remember, I told you at the beginning, there is water holing, there is baiting, there is spear fishing. If you look at all of them, you'll notice that they still fall under the category of farming, of fishing, and of social engineering. Basically, everything you see here. Now, the pretexting is still, creating a scenario at the end of the day. Water holing is specific fishing to, or specific redirecting. That one is targeted, just for a specific person or specific, it's not to the general public or to people you have all their information. So baiting is when you take advantage of somebody's greed or so. Like I remember I told people, they say they're sharing 20,000 naira recharge card and all that. It's all those kind of things. You take advantage. So yeah, they take advantage of people's greed or people's need for entertainment or need for something that is free, something that is not supposed to be free, and they want to get it for free. So they bait you with it. So when they bait you, you click on the link. You have to follow those instructions because you know what? I want this thing. It costs a lot of money, but I want it for free. So anything is okay for me to get this thing free. I am going to do it, and that's how they bait you. Then spear fishing, similar to water holing. The thing about spear fishing is they have information about you. It's still part of social engineering, like clear information about you. So when it comes like this, you think, this is very legit, and they even know me very well. Can we clear? In other ways, just try to be observant at the end of the day. So what should I do to stay safe online? You prioritize your assets, your digital assets, prioritize your information, prioritize your passwords, your usernames, have them stored in if you can get a good password store application, do that. If you can get that. If you can create a folder and hide it somewhere in your phone that only you knows, on your system that only you knows, that will still be nice. If you can, in fact, not even people save their passwords all the time, so when you're trying to log in again, to be easier, you can decide not to do that. Don't use it. If you have good memory, that's good for you. Save your emails, but don't save the passwords and all that. Then be vigilant. Be vigilant. If you can get good software, antivirus software, do that. I will not recommend anyone now because I've not used antivirus software in a long while. I try as much as possible to keep less things installed on my system. So the less you have, the less threats you bring into your system, or the less things you download online or software you install from the internet and from any other place, the more safe you are. So if you have a control system, so just have what is necessary, have the applications that are necessary. Some applications you don't need on your phone, delete them. And good at 10, Android and iOS will drop recent updates, and they try to make some applications normal, and they scan applications. This is and hey, this application, it's not good for your phone. It tries to get access to your microphone, to your cameras, and all that, and everything. So then actively monitor, watch everything, every website you're building, you're visiting, every application you're using, all the information you're imputing anywhere with context. Understand, why am I imputing this information here? Is it necessary? You understand? Do I need this? Or am I supposed to do this and all that? Be careful of all that. Then after you've maybe leaked your information or something, let's say someone has hacked your account on Facebook, on Instagram, or any other place, the best thing to do is to actually try to reach out to the organization that holds your data and tell them, you know what, I messed up, or so and so thing, this so and so has my information. You try to reach out to them early. And a lot of people these days, when they hack their WhatsApp account, WhatsApp has very terrible customer care. If they can hear me, you should fix your customer care. WhatsApp has very terrible customer care. I know people, they hack their WhatsApp accounts, it takes them time for them. So WhatsApp could barely do anything about it. But still, you should try to reach out to before they start sending the message. Send me so and so amount. Like someone sent $700 and something. I think it was my mom, and it's gone. That one is gone. So I don't know. Our systems find it kind of hard to track these people down. and return your money or something like that. But either ways, you need to be careful and be able, immediately it happens, immediately you notice it has happened, contact the organization that has your data and tell them so and so thing, so and so and so thing, they've breached my account. This is not really me. And good enough, they can help you retrieve your account like very fast. The only thing they have to do is maybe verify your identity that it is really you that is contacting them. And once they do that, they can retrieve your account and be like, you know what, yeah, this, and you will change your password and everything and take better measures next time. So use strong password, all those passwords that have because why you should use strong password, let me tell you why first. There's something called brute forcing. Brute forcing means continuously trying something. So I can get a dictionary of words. Dictionary of words meaning a lot of words, combine it with numbers, and it's I can get a brute force software. It creates, all these plenty passwords and continues to try to, brute force your password and eventually get it. But if you use strong passwords are passwords that are long, at least maybe 8 characters long, and it has uppercase, lowercase, and a special character at least, and maybe a number. That would be crazy. So to before something like that to be crazy, the combination that you have to do is hard, is a lot. So that way, before someone will change or get your password, which by the way, they will inform you that someone just logged in with your account. And you just go online and change it or something like that. So the person it can take the person 10 years to get your password, which doesn't make sense. So because hackers know that it's really difficult to get people's passwords. So number one, they try to break into the system. Number two, they try to phish. That means make you give them the information that they cannot brute force, that they cannot continuously try. So if your password, for instance, most of us here, give me today to tomorrow, I will get your 4-digit PIN from your bank because it's just 4 digits. 4 digits is 0 to 9. It's not more than that. It's limited. So whichever combination, if I start from 0, I will eventually get everybody's on before morning because it's just 4 digits. But when it's 5 digits, it becomes more difficult. 6, more difficult. 7, 8. You get the point. So now if you're not add complexity to it, you know what? I'm not using 8 digits again. I want to add a letter. How will I know the letter you've added? So that means for all the things I've tried from 0 to 9, I still have to try it with A to Z, which is terrible. Now, let's say I add a symbol. God, it's crazy. There are even more symbols. Just one symbol I add has made my password even stronger. So one number, be uppercase, lowercase, if especially that didn't put character matching, to store your passwords and all that, makes it very, very, very safe. Then there is multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication can be 2, 3, So I'll put my password, I still have to put my fingerprint. Multi-factor authentication. That means if you get my password, you don't have my fingerprint. If you get my password, you don't have my face. If you get my password, you don't get the OTP I get from my email, or there is an app they call Authenticator app. If your application or your website supports using Authenticator, it's really good because the code changes every 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds you have instead of getting an OTP from your bank and all that, every 60 seconds you have a new code that should verify your access or authorize your access to perform certain actions, even inside your application. So multi-factor authentication is not just to get access. When you go inside your bank application and you try to send money to somebody, it asks you for your PIN. All right, you have to put in my PIN is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sending money to so and so person. But if you have multi-factor authentication set up, you might need to go and copy a code, maybe from your email or somewhere to verify, and paste that code so that the money can leave your account. If you don't paste that code, all right, it kind of tells that it's no you. So here is the good thing. If you can get, there's an app called Authenticator. If your application or your software is supposed to get an authenticator and have maybe a separate phone for that authenticator application. So any transaction you want to carry out, you understand, you just open that phone. Think of it as like your token or something like that. Think, yeah. Then keep your software updated. I've talked about it. Be wary of suspicious content. Always look at what you're reading. Look at what they sent to you so you understand it. Regularly back up your data. So this is another thing that I think I should have, kind of emphasized on at the beginning. Why you need to back up your data. The reason I was not scared when someone hijacked my server was because my data was backed up already. I already had a backup for it. So I was not scared, we'll take my data, I don't care. I will reset my server and pop in my data back. So whatever data you have, whatever information you take, you store in your Google Drive, open another Google Drive,
if you want, or if you want to use Google Drive, just use for instance, store it there. Have another phone or have somewhere or a flash drive or 2 or 3 flash drives just for the sake of storing your data or your documents that are digital already. Put it there so that if you lose your device or anything, you still have access to them at the end of the day. Or if someone steals it, you still have access to them. If someone locks you out of your system. So I know there are people here that work in companies that have systems, and they probably those systems are configured, for those companies and organizations. And if you have personal data inside, they lock you out of that system. They lock you out of that system. I don't two ways about it. I know that. So either ways, always have backup for your data. Whichever way, there is physical backup, cloud backup. Yeah, backup is backup. Then if you're using VPN, try to use a trusted VPN service. I think there is I can't remember any VPN now. Anyways, they are really good. Express, I think Express is a good VPN service, and I think Cloudflare has a VPN service. Brave has a VPN service. The reason why you should use good VPN services is using a virtual private network simply means your request, any request you send to your server, will be routing through the VPN. So before, I don't know if it's before it goes to your DNS, your domain name server, it's a route through the VPN. So anything you're sending, first of all, if it's not even encrypted, it's route through that VPN service. Understand? To go to the server, the resource that you're requesting, and return it, back to you. So now, a recap of everything we've talked about. So we've understood, some threats on the internet. We've talked about protecting your information. We've talked about implementing best practices, be observant, do this, do that, and, be vigilant. So those are things we talked about. We've talked about digital internet security, explained the importance and what your digital footprint is, and the threats that comes with it. There are data breaches, social engineering, identity theft. Then we've talked about protecting, guard your data, avoid public hotspots. So not just for data administrators, even you avoid public hotspots, because any Wi-Fi you use, the Wi-Fi is what has access to the internet. Any hotspots So if you're tapping from my hotspot, I have a software on my phone that shows me. I think I was doing that 2014. If you connect to my Wi-Fi hotspot, I can see everywhere that you're visiting. So if I don't want you to visit Facebook, I will not let you visit. I will not let you visit websites. I won't let you visit websites that will, deal with my data and all that, because Facebook it's really consuming data, those days. And I think Instagram and all those social media. So I will just block you. If you visit, I'll block you and all that. So any Wi-Fi you connect to, they have access to your request and response cycle. Request and response cycle simply means you're sending a request to the server, it will give you a response and all that. So if it's not even encrypted, that's the worst. So it means anything you're sending, they are seeing and all that. So even if they are not seeing what you're sending, but they are seeing the endpoints. So they are seeing where you're sending it to, and and all the information basically that you're sending with it, if it's not encrypted. Then let's talk briefly about mobile security. So I've talked about internet security a lot. So mobile security, just be careful of the applications that you're installing. Lock your screens if possible. In fact, use that one that when you remove your phone, your face from your screen, it locks your phone. That's one better. So lock your screen, review app permissions. A lot of us don't know how to do this, by the way. When we install an application, it says it needs access to this, it needs access to that, your microphone, and you just grant it access. And you're not aware that this stuff could be listening to you. You can give something keyboard access. You can give something, I think, on-screen access. It could be recording everything. It could be recording your keystroke. So it could record when you're inputting your passwords and everything. So always review the permission. If the application doesn't need that permission, then you shouldn't give it that permission. Just delete the application. I'll give you an instance. An application that, for instance, we have our Bible study guide in software format. We're supposed to use it to just read and, and maybe type something in. If it's asking for camera access, you shouldn't. Know that the application has been compromised. Maybe you have the fake version of it and someone is trying to monitor it. If it's asking for microphone access, then you shouldn't. So in context of the application and what the application is for, you should know the type of access it should be asking for. So it shouldn't be asking for access to your microphone if it has nothing to do with voice and you talking or speaking. Zoom has all the right to have access to your microphone. So one thing I do all the time, which I would advise everybody to do all the time, is to make the application always ask. So if you are not conscious of it, make the application always ask you for permission. So as you are all hopping on this Zoom call, I believe many of us just hopped in. The thing did not really ask you, it just popped you inside the call like straight up. But for me, it has to ask me, Zoom wants to use your microphone, and I will allow it or I won't allow it. Zoom wants to use your camera, I will allow it or I won't allow it. So if we can do that, it would be really, 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 really it's really helpful for us to understand how critical all this information, because once you've given it access, right? You've told it, I have access to my microphone, the thing is listening all the time, and all that. Moving on, let's see what we have. Conclusion, we're done. Yeah. So maintain system control, like have control of your system. It's your device, you own it, take control of it, of everything that passes through it, everything you read on it. You have control of it. You have control of what you put inside. So you should be careful of what even comes inside. Just as you're careful of what you listen to as Christians, you're careful of what you watch as Christians, because if you watch what you're not supposed to watch or listen to what you're not supposed to listen to, allow yourself to be in certain environments, it corrupts you. Same thing happens to your device. So it corrupts you and takes a part of you maybe that you don't want to be taken and all that. So you should guard yourself, guard your devices, guard everything, because it belongs to you. Practice continuous vigilance and adhere to the security practices we've talked about. You could also search online for security practices, not just what I said. There are literally so many resources online, and you could learn about it. I think AI is really good these days at educating people and all that. And that's about it. It brings us to the end of our lecture today. If there are any questions, now is the right time. Thank you very much.
Bro, Stanley, really appreciate your time. We appreciate the knowledge you shared with us this evening. We pray God will continue to bless you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I don't know if you have any questions, so we can treat. If you have question, you can just unmute and ask a question. Okay, bro, Uzoma, like you have a question, you can go ahead, sir.
That's a thumbs up.
No, it's a thumbs up.
Okay. All right. So if there are no questions, sir, media team, can you help us with the team song so we can pray?
I'm praying every day, still praying as I onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher. My heart has no desire to stay where doubts will rise and fears dismay. Though some may dwell where these abound, my prayer, my aim is higher ground. stand, by faith on heaven's tableland, a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground.
Thank you, Priest. Thank you, media team. Pastor Kelechi, can you give us the closing prayers?
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you, Lord, for the privilege we had to learn. And we thank you, Father, for your Son who you have used to impact us with this knowledge on internet security. So we thank you so much, Father, for the meeting tonight, and we give you all the glory. We ask, Lord, even as we depart now, that in all that we have learned, to Lord, give us the grace to put it into practice. We ask that none of us will become victim of internet fraud. And we ask, Lord, that your Son you have used, that you will bless him abundantly and continue to increase him in wisdom. We ask, Lord, you continue to bless your church, continue to uphold us. Till we meet again, O Lord, even to fellowship. Father, may you guide, may you be with us and preserve our lives. Thank you, Father, because you've answered our prayers. For in Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
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 Amen. God bless you, everyone, for joining. Good night.
Don't forget to join for midweek tomorrow. Good night. God bless you all.
Good night, everyone.